Hey, thanks for checking out Nuts and Bolts with Tone. Welcome to my channel. Today I have a 2001 Ford F250 with a loose shifter. Now this is on F250s, 350s, 150s. I mean, this is Explorers. This is a very common problem on Fords, and it has been for a very long time. So today I'm going to show you how to take care of that problem. So here's what it looks like that I'm talking about. So first of all, you'll be able to move the shifter, and in some cases you could actually move it like twice as much as that. All right. So another thing that you'll notice is that your shift indicator is way off. So that's because the shifter's in the wrong spot, it's loose, and we need to adjust it. So we have to repair some parts. There's some parts in here that wear out. And step one's going to be removing the steering column. We're just going to take the whole column out. You can go ahead and leave the steering wheel on. We don't have to touch the steering wheel. We're just going to be getting in here. So step one, let's go ahead and, one more thing about this is when you're doing this, if you are doing this problem and you have a diesel, a 7.3, you want to make sure that if the end of this shift knob is broken off, that you replace this shift lever at this time, because with this little protective cap off of here, what happens is this button is really easy to get popped out. And when it pops out, the wires pull. And when the wires pull, they short. Well, unfortunately, this is on the same circuit as the APP sensor, or the accelerator pedal. So if this pulls out, you'll have no power. Your truck won't go anywhere. So we're going to go ahead and replace this shifter while we're at it because of that problem. So step one, let's go ahead and get these covers off down here and get the shrouds off of the column. So in the past, I've done this job without removing the steering column. It's just much easier to remove it and get it out of the way. So the steering column, really all it is going to be a couple connectors right here. You're going to have your ignition switch connector right there. You're going to have, I think, a couple connectors up here. You're going to have the pinch bolt down there. Actually, the pinch bolt is right there. So we're going to go ahead and just get this all disassembled, and it's going to unbolt and pull right out. I think I'm going to go ahead and just take this cover off too, just to make it easier. So it doesn't matter how you get your column out. Once you get it out, that's when we're going to do the repair. Steering column is out. So for this one here and most of the steering columns, it's all pretty much the same. You're going to have a linkage that comes up. You got to pop it off here. Then you got to slip it out of this hole right here. This is going to plug in right here. You're going to have a switch here for your turn signals. It's going to be two connectors. Take it off. It's two Torx. Disconnect the connectors, get them off. You're going to have two connectors that come under here for the airbag. You're going to disconnect those. You're going to have your lock cylinder you need to get out. You're going to put it in the run position. Depress the tab, pop it out. There's going to be a connector over here, and you're also going to have the 10 milli for the ship for the steering wheel, for the steering shaft, and then it's going to be nuts, 13 millimeter nuts that hold it up. All right, so now we're out. You can see the steering wheel is on. Now there's going to be several things that go on with this column that's going to give you a loose shifter. The first one being the bracket at the back for your shift linkage to attach to the bolts get loose. You can see this one is actually loose. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the bushings. There's two hold downs on the shaft, and those bushings wear out. The third thing is that inside is a mechanism that slides back and forth inside this outer shaft. Those can wear. There's also a bushing where the shifter goes into the shift linkage or into the shift column. That also can wear out. So it's the first time I've seen this on any columns that I've done. This little white bracket here is broken. This is how your shift indicator cable attaches to your column. So that white part mounts to the column, and the little cable attaches to the back a bracket on the back of the column where your shifter hooks to. So when you move your shifter, it pulls that cable, and then your shift indicator changes to show you what gear you're in. And that's how you adjust it, is with the little thumb wheel. When it pulls out, it moves the needle back and forth. Now, lucky for us, Dorman makes a replacement for this. With Dorman, you can buy just a little white bracket. With Ford, you have to buy the whole assembly, the cable, the prundle, everything. So this is actually much better, much cheaper. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get the shifter out of there. There's going to be a clip, it's going to be fastened on two sides. We're going to take that out. Remember, we're replacing it. You're going to need a T30. Now, this is Carbine Tools. I use those all the time, lifetime warranty. They're on my cart. The T30 is going to take apart everything on this column. Now, you want to lay everything out, because if you don't put it back exactly the way it needs to go in, you have to take it back apart. So you're going to use a little pocket screwdriver, pop the clips out of this to move this little boot out of the way. And then there's going to be a pin. You're just going to hit it with a hammer and pop the pin. Once you take the pin out, you better take the shifter out. So on this one, it gave me quite a bit of trouble. Once I popped the pin, I could not get the pin to pull out. I was using my snap-on pliers. Finally, I just hit it through with a pocket screwdriver and knocked the pin the rest of the way through so I could get it out so we could move on with the repair. All right, pin is out and it looks like that. It's got like little splines on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this up. Let's see, making sure I'm still in the nice range here. Okay, so we got that out. And then here's what your shifter's gonna look like. I had one time where this was really, really worn out, and I replaced it because of this. There's also a bushing in here that sometimes wears out. So from here, you're gonna come back here, and you're gonna knock these out back here. And there's a spring in there. And this shaft here is connected here. So what keeps your vehicle from coming out of park? This solenoid right here. So the next thing we're gonna do is pop this solenoid off. Oh, and it comes off with here. So we're gonna go ahead and take this off together. So this solenoid right here is attached to here. It's got like a little pivot there. So we're gonna leave that attached. So the next thing we need to do is get this shaft off here. Now, Dorman makes a kit to reseal all of this. However, the last one I did, I put it all together. I put the whole kit together, and when I got done, the shifter wouldn't go in the hole. So the Dorman one was no good. So now we got all the parts are from Ford except for the piece for the thing. So we're gonna pop these out. These actually weren't that worn. Usually these are like worn out. I mean, they were worn because it wasn't tight, but I'm gonna go ahead and take those bushings off. Actually, I didn't need to take those off because we're replacing this. So there's another pin right here that we need to get out because that's what holds the two shafts together. That's what holds this in. So we're just gonna hit it like that. This piece is gonna come out. And it's gonna slide out this way. So now, this shaft can come out. Now this shaft and this shaft we're replacing. But we need these parts. So make sure you lay everything out the way it goes so you don't get confused, because you don't want to flip this over and then have to guess which way it goes. So we're just gonna leave it like that. So we're gonna come over here and get our new Ford parts. There's that guy. So here's what this looks like, okay? This is the hole that the shifter wouldn't fit through on the Dorman piece. The next piece is we have the one that goes inside. Looks like that. Make sure you match up your pieces. You want to look at your shifter, make sure it looks correct. It was made in Mexico, so it's pretty local. Came close by. Anyways, here it is right here. Overdrive on and off. This was broken on the other one. That's why we're replacing it. Remember, this will cause your truck to not go anywhere. All right, I was wrong. On the Dorman one, this is what wouldn't work. So the shifter goes through this hole, and the shifter would not go through this hole with the Dorman one. And so that's why I'm not doing the Dorman kits anymore. Because Dorman kits come with like bushings and all that stuff, but it doesn't work. So for this, you can use white lithium grease. You're going to use some sort of lubrication. I'm going to use Silglide. Basically what you're doing, because these metal parts, they just ride on each other. There shouldn't be a ton of friction because they're not moving back and forth, but you just want a little lubrication. This was white lithium one time, but now it's black on this one. I'm just going to use the trusty old Silglide. So we're just going to coat this real good. We don't want it to, we want to keep it nice and lubricated. Because it's metal spinning inside of metal. So I'm just going to lube it up real good. So you're going to slide it in your tube here. We're going to get this lined up right here. But first I'm going to go ahead and clean this up. I don't want to put it in like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just put some on there, like that. And we're going to put the pin back in, right there. Another good reason to lay things out is if you're not sure which way things go. Remember I told you there's splines on here. It's real hard. I got grease all over my fingers. I can't get my phone to focus. Anyways, there's splines on here, and so you could see in this hole the splines are on the bottom, so it goes in that way. So we're going to go ahead and slide this in like that. And then we're going to knock it in with a hammer. All right, there we are. Now we're through. You want to make sure that this functions properly like that. All right, remember there's a spring that goes here. So now we need to get our bushings. Let's go ahead and clean these out. There's the bushings right there. The other thing, the bushings from Dorman, they're not the right size either. So They don't fit like they should. I mean, I guess they work, but it's just not worth it. All right, got the bushings in now. So now, all right, so now that's gonna sit in there. So now we need to get our lock back for our for putting it in park. And you don't want to tighten these down super tight. You just want to give them like a little snap. Like they just need to be snug. All right. So there's that. So now, remember I told you, so now we're going to clean this spring off here. We're going to go ahead and coat this in some Silglide as well. Nice and coated. We're going to slide that right there. Don't forget to put your column brackets back on. But we don't want to tighten the column down yet because we need it to be able to move, because the piece in the back has to line up. So now we need to get this piece on. We got the wrong part. Our part's supposed to have back here. So now I got to take it back apart because that one's wrong. All right, I got to show you guys something, because this happens normally to, you know, when I get busy. I was focused on teaching you how to put this column back together that I didn't even pay attention. I missed a key step. So we put this whole back together. One thing you'll notice that the spring is sticking out really far than it was, further than it was before. It went all the way in before. So I thought I had the wrong shaft here that didn't have the bolts in the back. This is because I had a ton going on. I was trying to hurry up and get this thing done. It's been here for a while, and also trying to teach you how to do it. And you'll notice here in the front are the bolt holes. I put this backwards. So I got to take it back apart, and I'm going to show you taking it back apart, and then I got to do it the right way. Got to take it back apart. So you could just take this off all one like that with the bolts in it and everything. The spring. And now we got to knock this pin back out. Should come out easier this time. Let me go ahead and slide this out like that. I'm going to slide the shaft in this time the right way. We're going to line it up there. I'm going to slide that through. Hope you can see. There we go. I was on the wrong side, so. I should have known, because this really wasn't in right, and I could tell that I didn't really have the movement that I should have. I'm going to probably have to take this over to the vise and knock it in. Let's see if I can get it to go in. There we go. I did have it organized pretty well. Okay, so now what we should notice is the spring should go all the way inside, like that. All right. So now we're going to lay this on here, and this needs to be positioned in that spot there. You want to make sure your bushings are in the right spot. I'm going to go ahead and just lay this on here like this. Try to drop as many bolts as possible. We're going to just start all this loosely because when you put this together, it all has to line up just right. And if you tighten it down ahead of time, it won't line up correctly. So I'm just going to lightly put this in, lightly put that in. Just going to lightly get these bolts in. Yeah, last time I did this, I got a little ahead of myself and I tightened the shaft down here, and then the back wouldn't line up. So, all right. So now we have the back. And the back only goes one way. So that cable under the dash, that little wire actually hooks onto here. This is where it hooks to, because it's the steering. This is how it shifts. That's how come you can't get this out of park, because of that right there. And I put this in, hang on, this is what I was talking about. You gotta make sure you get everything just right. It's first thing in the morning, so forgive me. I've done this so many times. All right, so this goes in there like that, because this solenoid here keeps this that solenoid is what keeps it from being able to take it out of park. Your foot on the brake actuates this solenoid here, which allows this to shift. Kind of blocking the camera, and I realize that. Just trying to make sure I get this all lined up. So you want to make sure the back is tight. I'm going to give that a little zap. So there's that. So now we're just gonna, so now you can see this doesn't move like it did before. So now that we've got all that lined up, now we can snug these. Damn, I love this 3/8 stubby impact from Milwaukee, but I could tell you what, their snap rings suck. This snap ring, almost from the very beginning, my sockets were falling off. So now we're just going to give it a little zap. Don't zap too much. This is aluminum you're zapping into, you'll zap the threads right out of it. Okay. So now that we've got all that in, so now your shifter will go in. You need to get your shifter bushing out. So There's supposed to be something on both sides of this, and I almost ordered it and I didn't. So I need to get a new one of these. So you can see our old clip. It's got like a metal clip, and then there's like a piece of rubber that's supposed to be on both sides of it. Sorry, it's not focusing. And part of it's gone. Well, that's what the original one looks like. Well, here's the replacement. The replacement is only a rubber piece. It just slides right in. Here's the part number for that. So we're going to put the bushing in the hole. Get that in there. Then you're going to make sure your pin goes in. You're going to slide the shifter in. Get it lined up. Get your pin in there. Tap it with a hammer. Shouldn't take too much to get it to tap in. You can see it's all the way in. Now you're going to take your little dust boot and it's going to slide in the hole on the left, and on the right it's going to slide over like a stud type thing. And now you can see the shifter's tight. We've got everything tight. This is where you want to double check all your bolts. Now that's where that cable rides. Make sure those bolts are tight. Make sure your park solenoid, your shift lock solenoid is all tight. It's hard to get in here later if you have to do any of this again. All right, so to adjust the needle right there, you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna do it in park, but then you're gonna want to check it when you shift it into reverse and drive to make sure that it all lines up, because there is still a little bit of movement in this. You can see it's right on the P right now. So the way you're going to do it is you're going to come down here and this little thumb wheel. Hang on. This little thumb wheel right here, you're going to turn that. And while you turn it, you're going to see, so the needle's moving to the left. Move it the other way, the needle's moving to the right. So you're going to want to move that and adjust that and get that all where it needs to be for the adjustment of the shifter indicator. All right, so now you can see we're in drive, and we got a nice tight, it's indicating drive, and the shifter is super tight. Now that you've seen this video, you should feel pretty confident getting this steering column taken out and getting this all tightened up and getting your shift indicator lined up. Thanks for watching the video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. You get notified of all my future content, which you definitely don't want to miss. Thanks for watching. See you next time.